Hi, welcome to Business Ethics video tutorial. Let's see what it has in store for us, understanding from course overview and then moving on to understand the topic of the day. To understand this better, let's move on to not just get the information what it has in store for us, but also to get the highlight of the fact what are the various topics dealt in this particular video tutorial and what it is all about. Moving on to understand, certainly we'd start with an introduction. Changing business landscape is something we're going to discuss. Business ethics, moral reasoning. Well, moral reasoning plays a very important role and it cannot be taught. Well, there are a lot of institutes and courses these days which have been offered. However, it is more of a instilled quality, maybe right from my childhood or maybe from the environment that I've been raised and brought up. Applications of customer stakeholder, we will also highlight a little bit information on who the stakeholders are and maybe a little certain definition on it, and then we'll move on to understand the applications of it. Ethical issues and marketing, it's very important that I understand the fact that marketing though as division is exponentially exposed to the market and to the relationship building, but however we certainly miss out on something which is while we are all in a hurry to make money, have opinion, form a reputation, a good reputation to the company, but we forget the word ethical, how ethically we are moving towards selling a product or helping a customer get the product. Business ethics, that is human resource management, little bit of a cycle of human resource management is where we will highlight. Business ethics, finance, one of the most extremely challenging, sensitive department, and how do we actually ethically move and work in this department to not just retain the trust but also retain the trust of the external customer. Moving on, ethics in workplace, business ethics, employees and morals. What are the moral set values designed by the organization is where we will speak there. Ethics at an individual level. This is something I personally believe has to be followed for simple reason. If you're not ethical at an individual level, then as a human you can never be ethical at any point in time or at any stage of your life. Moving on, challenges, environmental challenges, like everything in life comes with a challenge, comes with a shelf life. So we also would like to discuss the challenges front. Business ethics, cyber age, like in the present era of .com industry, of 21st century, how are we actually heading and what is the future of ethical cyber age? Business ethics, workplace violence, little information on here. And let's move on to understand this in a much broader prospect. Business ethics, well, there are a lot of words that have been associated, and there's a reason that we have picked up again this specific picture to emphasize and highlight the fact that business ethics has to do a lot with the moral principles or moral rules that has been laid out either at an organization level or maybe at home, laid out by the head of the family and the corporate governance. So we all move on to work with the rules that has been agreed, that we are all in consensus with. Moving on to understand, it's about your conduct, that is how do you conduct yourself while no one is watching. Well, the word integrity, again I would like to highlight it with the present topic of the day, because if you are not able to conduct yourself ethically when no one is around, then there is no guarantee that you can conduct yourself ethically well when people are around. Moving on to understand the policies and the responsibilities and the behavior codes that have been specifically designed and said that these are ethics and this is something unethical as a practice, because it just not causes the repercussion of after an action, but it certainly stakes the customer's trust or a customer's relationship with the product and with the organization. Moving on to understand changing business landscape, well, global financial crisis legacy, well, there have been a lot of case studies which have been highlighted under this front, where few organizations could not carry reputation, fame and name, hence today they no longer exist and they are not a prime example that has been taken of their legacy and of the as a product organization. Organizational cultural risk, well, risk is something, we all have to strive to mitigate it, and that can only happen when we have the right set of rules laid out, and when we follow the moral rules completely with the strong adherence. I don't think so, we can all ever encounter the word risk there. In case we encounter, we certainly have a plan that can mitigate the risk and help us be there ethically to form and a good opinion with the customer, and also to not just retain your name as an organization, but be there for the service of the customer. Moving on, business ethics, moral reasoning. What is morality? Well, this is one word that I like to discuss in this slide specifically because we all have been hearing this word more or less, and how are we relating this word to the topic of the day, which is business ethics. So to understand this word, a set of rules which have been laid out, a behavior to form a behavior, to change a behavior, is nothing but the word morality. Moving on to understand, where does morality come from? Well, morality has to be happen at an individual level, not just at a corporate level or an organization level. Moving on, the meaning of moral justification. Well, this is something, ethical values that we have to all form and abide by it strictly, for simple reason. If you do not have ethics, like example, organizations need to carry the vision statement and the mission statement that has to be aligned with not just serving the customers, but also helping the customers be there, and to help and be there with the customers. So when we can align vision and mission, we all have to move on to understand that when an organization is ethically forming certain set of rules as employees, as stakeholders, external customers, internal customers, or maybe like a firm's head of the organization, or maybe somebody who's an external party or a third party organization, we all would be able to abide by it only when I have a certain set of rules that has been formed out there. Moving on, applications, customer, stakeholder. Well, like I said, I like to discuss the word stakeholder out here. The word stakeholder has to do with everybody who is involved with the organization, who's more or less the customer of each other. That is external customer, internal customer, a third party organization, or maybe higher ups, the leadership team, the management team, almost more or less everyone who's involved and who are with different departments, different working parameters that we all follow there. So moving on, customer loyalty and business ethics. Well, loyalty and ethics go hand in hand, because if you're not ethical and you are not able to help the customer, you'll never ever be loyal to a customer or to the product as well. Moving on, ethical customer stakeholder relationship, most important, because it is just not about laying out the rules and not following it, but having the form of the information that is practicing, walking the talk, and helping the customer retain the relationship with not just you, but also with the internal stakeholders as well. Moving on, ethical issues in marketing, emerging ethical problems in market research. Well, this is something we all have to abide by the fact that, be it marketing as a department, selling as a product, though you've been asked to do over target, you can never ever forget the fact that, you can ever go unethical way. Simple reason, maybe one odd experience that you can get is a pat from your manager, that yes, you have sold like X number of products, which is something you have overdone your target. But having said that, if you forget the fact that you have laid a wrong foundation and you have not allowed the customer to really believe in the product, then it is really unethical, and it will never ever help us to be there in terms of what our future vision of the company is. Moving on to understand grouping the market audience. Well, it is very important that I group the market audience, for simple reason. If I do not do so, there will be a lot of ethical problems that can arise, and you will not be able to help form the market research aspect, linking it with the aspect that ethical issues has to be followed in the market. Moving on, business ethics, HRM, that is human resource management. These are the more or less views that have been formed, concerns and challenges that human resource team can cater to and allow us to really be there at an organization. That is privacy of an individual and of an organization, property concerns or challenges of an organization again, security, both from women's security, harassment, and not so great experiences at workplace. Accuracy, that is performances, interview processes, anything which has been laid out by the organization at an organization level. Moving on to understand accessibility, well, it is very important to understand the fact that if you ever would given a chance to form ethical set rules to the organization, we all have to be there in terms of how accessible the rules are, how accepted the rules are, and how would that be acknowledged by the organization and by the employees as well. Moving on to understand business ethics, finance. Well, finance depends totally on trust. Well, one of the most sensitive departments. We can really go shaky the moment we look at a number, a figure, or money. As a human being, we all have those urges. But understand, take any case study, take any example of an organization who could not manage finances, who were fudging the finances, that no longer exist, with a bad reputation that has been carried along with the name, along with the products, and along with the all experiences out here. An ethical framework, well, an ethical framework that has been formed not just with the organization, but within the team of finance leadership team, that has to be followed thoroughly. If you're not able to come up with certain set of rules, well, there are a lot of external consultants that can help you design a framework and be there for the ethical practices. Moving on, the final consideration, well, the final consideration can only happen when we believe the fact that it's all about trust, and we have to adhere trust, not just at an individual level, but working for the organizations as well. Moving on to understand business ethics, employees, and morals, that is obligations to the firm. Well, what obligations that we carry on, and why is it important that I understand the employees and the moral values that have been set. Abuse of one's position, well, I am the head of the organization and I abuse, and I'm just quoting an example, and I abuse for whatever reasons, and I take all the advantage, I take everything which has been asked to do. Bribery and kickbacks, well, this is something not everybody can retain. Bribery and kickbacks, for some same reason, if you're caught, that's it. And not a single person, well, the statistics says that at an organization, at least a case study which has been conducted by McKinsey, that every organization which has been doing it as a practice, they are not just being showcased and exposed to the world, well, they have also made confessions. I mean, few organizations have made confessions. So, well, this word doesn't go well with the ethical forming of the moral values. The obligations to third parties, well, these are again terms internally used with the finance department and the other departments to form that ethical values. Whistleblowing and employees' self-interest. So let's understand the fact that employees and moral set of rules have to go hand in hand. That is, every employee needs to follow the moral set of rules. Moving on to understand ethics at the individual level, I personally believe so, because if you're not loyal, if you're not true to your own self, you can never ever be true to others. Moving on, ethical behavior at the workplace. It's very important that at an individual level have been asked to do, or probably I have this as a quality that can be carried off even at a workplace and at an organization level. Ethical lapses and the organizational culture, well, to understand the fact that we all have certain lapses and misses, but only with one lapse you cannot forego the future practice and the a good experience that you carry about ethical practice. Moving on to understand basic attributes of ethical workers. Well, there are many attributes that a person can carry, and attributes are nothing but your virtues that you carry hand in hand. So the most important virtues that goes with ethics and ethical values are your hard work, sincerity, your perseverance, patience level, and everything that has to do with that makes you a good person, are your ethical behaviors and ethical virtues. Moving on, work ethics and workplace, conducting personal businesses during office time. Well, this has been a common practice and not so great experience for a lot of organizations and leadership team to go by. Facebook.com, well, it's a nice website to connect and communicate with people, but am I actually doing what I'm being asked in my job responsibility? I'm searching, or probably I'm shopping online. So anything that I do it for my personal interest during the office hours, unethical. Moving on, taking credit for others' work, very human quality. It's very important that I understand, not just like for one experience I can carry it off. You certainly would strain the relationship with the person, and also you're not being accepted and acknowledged in the department later on. Harassing behavior, with a lot of people who carry with this aggression, every small word, a word that utters, they utter, is not accepted in form of the acknowledgement part, and it's not been well received. So I have to be a little mindful of the fact that harassing behavior is something I have to keep in mind, that I'm not supposed to do it, because that's not an ethical way of treating somebody at an individual level or maybe at a department level. Moving on, the solutions to workplace dilemmas. Well, we all go through the stage of being there. So it's all about connecting with the right department, the right team, and getting the rules which have been laid out and practicing those rules. Moving on to understand business ethics, cyber age, something very similar we would like to discuss, that is privacy, property, security, accuracy and accessibility. Well, these are the most important points that are going to hit again for the future causes as well, and these are the most important researched points that can not just help the organization grow ethically, but also help people learn ethics through. Moving on, types of aggressive behaviors, that is your disruptive behavior, threatening behavior and violent behavior, more or less one of the same meaning attached to it, but there's an intent behind every word that we're discussing. Disruptive, you do not allow the person to perform, you do not allow the person to come out from that comfort zone and allow the person to be in its own cocoon, and you're not doing a great thing out there. Threatening behavior, we all have this habit of culturally again. So when I say the word culture, we all have this stage that we go through this threatening form of getting work done. Well, this is unacceptable at workplace, and also for longer run for the individual purpose as well. Violent behavior could be as simple as banging your hand on the table, could be as simple as banging the hand on the wall, very violent in nature. Conclusion, ethical set rules at an individual level. So see to that you have your own ethical set rules. Try and match with the organization's set rules. More or less it's going to be the same, and if not same, then we all have to instill and imbibe it. So I really would like to hear your opinion about this video tutorial and the topic that we're discussing. Did you ever encounter a situation where you were in an ethical dilemma? Do drop in the comment box below, and we will like to initiate discussion with you. Thank you for watching.